Hello, everyone. Ti Dave here. Today I have, I was reading this book, code name Pretty Eyes, and I'm going to read some stuff, but I got something very important to tell you about. Before you go buying any nano products people are selling, um, I advise you to. I'm going to share a link on an Odyssey link, and I want you to go down to nano products, okay, and listen to what she has to say. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of this, but I cannot play it all because of certain stuff said. Okay. Let's see if I.
I busted my ass. I'm like, hey, put the biology back that you're playing with. No, we're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
claim that.
And a year ago, I got sold on Zeolite. I did some research, but I should have dug deeper in like deeper search engines and all that because I do not push Zeolite and I do not and I will not promote any product that puts more nano in you. And so and that's because if you see what the audience they're targeting, um, all this stuff she says makes sense. All this stuff, uh, uh, 420 says makes sense, in this area. It does. So the audience being targeted are the ones that didn't take the you know what. Even though they don't matter anymore, but it kind of does, because you're anyway. Let's not go into that. But anyway, so I'm going to play what this says, and even she has praised Beltran, and even uh, said Beltran was on the right track. So if she's coming now and saying, I don't think Beltran knows this, and he's promoting something and he don't know, so why does she have a reason to lie about this? And the research speaks for itself. She says, I have several papers and layout for this. I know people are desperate for solutions, but I've explained and repeated you're making the mistake of stepping around the biology involved. And since nobody will focus there first to disrupt the real telemetry, it's pure hell to try to keep explaining systems the civilian class does not have access to, neither do your medical doctors. I hope people can help themselves. Um, and I really think, uh, and she's claiming that your body is the biosensor. Um, And I agree from my research. There's a lot of stuff going on and there's a lot of misinformation being pushed. And, I have took this time off. I've been researching the whole time I was off when I had chances. Also, we have come across 40 or 50 people we stay in touch with regularly, over these past 3 years. So, it became overwhelming to us when we were spending all our free time after we got our responsibilities done here, because our responsibilities will always come first here. It's just got to be that way. Um, but we were spending all our free time, talking to people and all that. And we would ask the people, 35 minutes. And then, we didn't want to be rude. They would keep talking, talking, talking. And so we just got exhausted and overwhelmed. You got uh, TIs checking in with us, for their safety. And then I'm telling the TIs, okay, I'll text you back, and I will keep in touch with you every day. But that's hard to do when you got 40 or other 50 people check. So every time I check messages, just on Messenger alone, it's 40 or 50 messages. Then I got X, about 15 messages a day. Then I got emails, and then so it gets overwhelming is what I'm saying. Then there's other platforms. So trying to keep in contact with all these people regularly just became, well, not the people we check in with regularly, but I'm just saying, like, uh, new people come, and then you don't answer them back because it's not your fault. I mean, it's not our fault. It's just we had so many people we're trying to stay in contact with. It slipped our mind, or we were too busy and had stuff going on. We were nauseated, sick on the couch from weapons, or had a bad day some other way, or they were, it's just all overwhelming stuff. So we are going to still help. Not maybe not as much as were, because that takes a lot of dedication, and that 3 years drained us, big time. So, but we're going to do it on our own terms, and we're going to do it with a 35-minute limit if we do talk, and we can't promise you. I'm not going to say. that if we get bad vibes, and I hope you respect that too. It don't mean that you are a perp if we get bad vibes. It just means we got bad vibes, and we go with what our stomach says sometimes. Anyway, I'm rambling, so I'm just gonna play this real quick, and I'm gonna put the links. You gotta when I hit for some reason when you share a link on Odyssey, it'll just go to the Odyssey channel you're sharing the link to. So there's one called um nanotech, nano products and all that, and she's going into detail and explaining the research behind why she's telling people not to take this stuff. So anyway, listen.
It's from now, oh, that's the only metamaterial. And here's our masterpiece magical product. That's a nano product, but it's going to take care of the graphene. What about the other 40 different metamaterials that fluoresce with quantum dots? So what they're doing, in my opinion, because I like Mr. Beltran, and I said, I don't think he knows. The biosensors are not little nanobots. The biosensors are not injections RFID. The nanotechnology resurfaces your cells, DNA analyte derivative. The biosensors are made up of you. They are made of your own cells. They're not made of something you can remove. You'd have to remove all of your.
Okay, I'm gonna play a little bit more.
2 years ago, I said, no, that's nanotechnology. Here we are again. There's a. All right, we have a coffee up on the fourth wall. This coffee is for the public before I do the prayers requested yesterday. I'm rather excited about that. So, makes it worse. Morning. Masterpiece. 2 years ago, I said, no, that's nanotechnology. Here we are again. There's a movie going around called The Human Antenna. In my opinion, take it or leave it, it's an infomercial for Masterpiece. And apparently, inside this same grouping of people heavily promoting Masterpiece, they've now absorbed Brandy, the brain-computer interface chick, whose working group and committee is exempt from medical molecular communication. So her brain-computer interface group only works on entertainment, like your Bluetooth earbuds and your headphones. So now she's an expert, but she's only an expert on her working group, which is exempt from things like the Genesis AI project. That's molecular communication.
All right, I'm not going to play much more. I'm not going to play nothing else of this. Please listen to this. Okay, I am going to put the links, and you just go to Nano Products. The first three videos on this link, Nano Products video and Nano Products. And here's what was said underneath. It says, she says, I have several papers and I've read these papers. I know people are desperate for solutions, but as I've repeated, you're making the mistake of stepping around biology involved. And since nobody will focus there to first disrupt the real telemetry, it's pure hell to try to keep explaining the systems the civilian class does not have access to. I hope people can help themselves. Those of you who are circulating papers on optogenomics and liquid metals or living neural circuits, I would heavily suggest you stop stepping over the NatSec involved because your GitHub nerds are all in for being augmented. Sorry, fellow humans, but as all of us here on the channel continue to cite, hiding biology from your fellow human is a dead end. So why are we doing it? No man reading papers or lawyers is going to help because they're already deployed. So it's biology or bust. You see it word for word. Anyway, uh, cleansing nano with more nano is what they're offering you without telling you what is deployed as the EOS roll on. Please research this. I'm putting the links in the comments and I'm pinning them. Okay, because I'm even apologizing to people. I promoted Zeolite a year ago. So I've been, I've had some time to research big time. I've watched plenty of videos. I've researched this stuff, okay? So you do your research. Please don't hold it against me that I have an opinion. Respect my opinion. I'll respect yours, okay? But I don't promote no nano products on my thing. And I apologize. I did dig deep for the zeolite research whenever I promoted it, maybe a year and a half ago, and I didn't find actual papers, but now there's papers everywhere. And please watch these videos and come up with your own thing because what she's saying is right and her research is right, which I've read the research. Um, you notice who it's targeting, and that's all I got to say. It's targeting the people who didn't do what everybody else did back in the day, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I'm going to get back onto the code name Pretty Eyes and start reading this, and I'm going to be saying stuff I can relate to in here. Now, this is her experience and what she thinks is going on, and I just thought it was very good read. So don't think that I'm agreeing with everything because there's some things I think's a little different and done a little different. However, the only reason I'm reading this is because when I was reading this book because we have started doing that. We're getting physical books and reading them. We're trying to stay away from reading on screens, looking at screens as much. And if we do look at screens, we look at screens with glasses, blue light glasses on, which just probably just helps a little bit. I'm sure they found ways around that. I know you saw the short video I did showing the whole screen's a camera now. Okay, so here we go. This is Pamela Ann Austin book. And I'll be talking about some experiences I had here and there and stopping and how I can relate and all that. What is gang stalking from my own experience? For the physical world, gang stalking is complementary governance between the government, intelligence, police, corporations, churches, citizenry to minutely sabotage an individual's life until they're isolated, impoverished, psychologically tormented, and driven to an unnecessary death that is sufficiently vague enough to give the global murder for hire ring or the network plausible deniability. It is the slow dismantling of a person's life by depriving them element by element of all ability to prosper or conduct or control their own destiny through intelligence, creativity, or problem solving. It is unhinging everything that might take hold of to pull themselves along with the normal society and making it so that nothing of all that others is taken for granted in being a productive citizen works for them. It's complete yet hidden discrimination of all the industry and all that makes success possible. It's being called the silent holocaust. It's the coercive control and sabotage of a person's effort to their walk to their death while all their cries for help are nullified because every authority turns their face away in passive aggression, thus erasing the TI's claimful right to justice, which dehumanizes them. In America and around the world, the entirety of the target individual life is investigated with mind controlled stalkers sent to the target's life to befriend them or even marry them. And from that close range, spy on them, learn all they can, report it back to the handlers. The TI medical records from birth are open, as well as their banking, bills, habits, relationship. This is so every weakness can be exploited, every strength can be used in elaborate setups to implicate them. For instance, if they are allergic to cigarette smoke, it will be covertly pumped into their ventilation. If they're courageous and stand up for themselves against antagonists, will be repeatedly sent against them to lure them to act out and be arrested. Um, and we know this to be the case many times over. Um, you know, let's see. Oh, well, I can't think. There's something important. Oh, some of this information um, makes you feel hopeless, makes you feel like, why should I even try at life? Why should I even? It's hopeless. They're going to sabotage everything. There's glitches in the matrix, so don't never give up. And then you have angels and everything if you're spiritual, and know how to utilize prayer. Psalms is very powerful. But what I'm saying is, don't sit around and say, "Oh, I'm not going to do this because it's going to be sabotage," or "I'm not going to trust this person trying to help me because they sabotage everything." So I can't have a life. I can't get a job. I can't do this. I can't. That's what they want you to think. But there's glitches in the matrix, so keep trying. Be a good person everywhere you go. Do not let them see you walking around bitter, hating the world, because that's the response they're trying to get. Because once you start hating the world and walking around in hate, then you do stuff that makes you look like the smear campaigns that they spread about you. And you know, targets and trauma is so bad for us targets, and I was the worst one. There's no telling how much help I turned down because I just couldn't trust. I was so traumatized. I thought everything was a setup, even good things. So try to learn your sensitizations. Try to learn what I'm still bad about smiley faces. I cannot stand smiley faces. They trigger me, and I try my best, and I'm doing pretty good. Differentiating when it's a perp sending one, or every day when I woke up, as soon as I opened my eyes, I'd get a big smiley face. Enjoy the last day of your life. I'm talking about for like 40 days straight. As soon as I opened my eyes, so they knew when I opened my eyes, and boom, I'd get it. As soon as I opened my eyes, under a bush, like the Pensacola uh, courthouse, um, boom, ding, my phone would ding, and it'd be a big emoji. So, and I would have that message. And that was in 2018. A lot of stuff happened then. I wish I'd have had all that evidence I had on that phone, but I don't. So what I'm saying is, don't sit around and feel hopeless. Um, this program is designed to make you feel hopeless. Don't never give up trying I'm not about uh because I thought I was hopeless. I thought the same way. I thought nothing could go good. And look, and so, and me and Holly was discussing this last night. It wasn't easy. The first year uh was you couldn't imagine the trauma, the stuff we dealt with. And it even pushed Holly, she well, I'm not gonna go into that, but let's just say she fought hard uh to keep everything intact. And I'm not and I'm just saying she brought herself out of a dark space, and I'm proud of her. And I'm still trying to work on bringing myself out of some dark spaces. Um, don't mean we're not targeted still and all that. I'm just saying if you knew the stuff, it was just like 2 months of a dark space for her. Um, and I don't know. I don't want to talk about her business without her being here, so I'm not going to. But just know that we struggled. And I had to tell myself, and I'm not saying for people to do this. You got to learn, I discernment is key. And my 4 years on the streets, blacklisted as a TI, chased everywhere, followed everywhere, all kinds of street theater, making me pee my, all that stuff, and not trusting people, setup after setup. My that heightened my discernment because I could do nothing. I was hated by the world, and I was blacklisted, being told lies about me everywhere I went. So, um, but I did turn some things down. I think might have been some good things. But how do you trust in that situation? But what I so oh man, this is important, and I just it just slipped my mind. But I walked around and I talked to God as a friend. That's the Most High was the only person I could turn to at the time, and I relied on Him. And I'm gonna tell you a story. One day, I left, and I finished this. One day, I left Salvation Army. It was a Sunday morning. It was in New Orleans. I was walking down Claiborne. Then I made a right on Martin Luther King, um, and then crossed over and went to this church for breakfast in the morning. But anyway, I had to have it was $10 a night. After you stay a week at the Salvation Army free, it's $10 a night. Well, I couldn't get no job. I was blacklisted. And I had been in the city for a while, so everything was compromised at that point. So I prayed because I needed $5 more to get in another night, and I just needed rest. So I'd have to stay gone all day and come back at four of my $10. So I said, and I'm not lying about this. So I'm on my way. I then walk down Claiborne. It's like 5:30 in the morning. Dangerous area too. I walked down Claiborne, made a right on Martin Luther King Boulevard, and there used to be a store right there, and there may still be a store right there. But I remember I prayed. I said, Lord, I said, Jesus, I don't know where and I prayed and I said, I don't know where this $5 is going to come from. I said, but I need $5 and that's all I'm asking you for. And when I opened my eyes and looked down, right in front of my feet was $5. You can't make this up. In front of the store on Martin Luther King. So if you walk down Claiborne from the Salvation Army, you can GPS if you want to see right where I was at. I made a right on Martin Luther King, and there used to be a store right there, and I don't know if it's still there or not. That was in 2018, and right past that store was a $5 bill laying on the ground. The stuff like that over the years, um, just helped me with my faith. So I'm going to continue this. Hold on one second. My cat is into something, and I need to check on it. Okay, I'm going to start reading. I'm sorry for the rambling. Um, s- Organized stalking is theft of not only material possessions through covert manipulation. And this is another reason I read this is because some people were targeted by their spouse. And I know a lot of most women, there's more women targets than there are men. And I figured a lot of women might be able to relate to this that watch this. So, okay. Organized stalking is theft of not only material possessions through covert manipulation of circumstances, but is the theft of relationships through intense smear campaigns. Close relatives or spouses are deceived, mind controlled, hypnotized, coerced with incentives and promise of success, or they're blackmailed with threats by FBI access to drive all other relatives, friends, and neighbors to despise the TI through the individualized methods created over the years of covert observation of the target's life so that anything and everything known about the target can be twisted and used against them through elaborate setups. Whisperings and seeds of doubt about the target are planted in the minds and hearts of everyone connected to the target, then fanned into a flame over time when the target is subtly coerced and pushed to lash out or stumble into some public shaming sin. As the target sees everything, everyone's being robbed for them, then they try to cry out and reveal what's happening, not understanding it themselves. But even that's used to malign them. With the main stalking whisperer, in my case, and she's telling her story, my ex-husband convincing everyone else to view the target as crazy rather than seeing it as the cry of someone that they are themselves sabotaging. The complete betrayal of those close friends and relatives all at the same time is nearly beyond what an empathetic human heart can survive without the power of Jesus standing with them. And lucky for me, I had Jesus before the worst of it set in. My stalker husband, who had the supreme power to arrange circumstances as will, since he had spyware installed and gadgets placed in my home, along with his own observations of me as his disposal, knew exactly how to slowly destroy my life and relationships from deep, dark shadows. He arranged nearly all circumstances that harmed me for decades to come. From the orchestrated stalking network, what the target fears will be given to them. What they hate will be sent as a fixture in their lives. The kind of person they despise will be moved in beside them to provoke them. What makes them furious will be sent to them continuously and usually in public. What causes them sadness and anxiety will be conjured for them. No matter how elaborate and expensive the scheme, now, the stalking network spares no expense to daily, hourly, and minutely, if possible, harass the target individual into emotional and mental breakdown. Any weakness or particular sin of a target is used to entrap them, even if that weakness is merely a heart of empathy or a desperate need of love after years of neglect and abuse. And this is when honeypot setups work so well against an unsuspecting target. In the case of a target who doesn't know yet their target, flattering, deceitful narcissists will be sent to enter their life, or they will be recruited from people already known to the target to get close to them, to get close enough to ask the most intimate personal questions and have the roundly answered, even to marry the target, so that the utmost damage to the target's mental and emotional state can be worked into their daily lives by their stalker spouse who's actively working to drive the target's spouse to suicide. These evil infiltrators also get close enough to disseminate most convincing slander to all relatives and children of the target. A stalker spouse is one or more of the dark triad personality disorder people. In my case, I got the very worst of it, for he was a narcissistic Machiavellian, which is a man who feeds off the daily emotional suffering of his victim, which is suffering that he himself causes by situations he himself concocts. Being also Machiavellian, he's able to stoically hold off gratification of his desired ends as he foments elaborate long-term schemes to take down the target entirely. This is unlike a psychopath who needs immediate gratification and would rather mug, rape, kill, have it done with Machiavellians and be done with it. Machiavellians enjoy a long, slow burn of their victims, and their entire prime objective will benefit solely themselves. A stalker spouse can use adultery, pathological lying, diabolical spying, gaslighting, chronic betrayal, insidious neglect, and coldness, put downs about the target's appearance or habits, Chronic scoffing at the target's thoughts and opinions, group censor, introduction of foul pornography, inclusive whoremongering, or homosexuality can be left for the target to find for maximum heartbreak and penetrating anguish. The point is to maintain constant trauma in the target. The target is never allowed to trust and relax. Sexual rejection is also used against the target, mostly because the stalker spouse never was attracted to, never loved the target to begin with, using sexual intimacy rejections easy and preferable for the stalker who's getting his kicks through other sources of narcissistic fuel or people's emotions, but it's cruel and insidious abuse unjust for the befuddled target who married honestly for love and expected a normal life with normal relations, which at the beginning the stalker's spouse promised. All dark triads are prolific liars. And I waited till 33, 34. I can't even remember. Think I was 33 though, and I got married. And then I didn't know she was my handler, and she had done been briefed before she even met me and what to do. So, uh, I waited because I was trying to wait on the right person and be married just once. Okay. Um, so that's why I waited till 33. I was saving, and then I just fell for a trap. Uh, but it was through my own faults, downfalls, lust, rushing things. I was walking with God. I had been in this place kind of like my targeting had started in 2012. I met her in 2014. No, my target started in 2011. I met her in 2014. But there's a long stories in between. I'll have to tell that story sometime because there's a lot of stuff you don't know about my story that I haven't told yet. Um, because um it's traumatizing to go back over what happened during that period. And I just don't like talking about it. But I do want to open up and let y'all know what happened one day. So anyway, so then, so I'm in this place. It's like Teen Challenge for 2 years. I'm basically uh underneath well, I'm trying to become a pastor or I was a member of a church, and I thought it was a good church and all that, and it is a good church, but uh I think they're kind of getting away from the point now, but at the time they were a good church. So I was um preaching. The pastor would let me preach to the people that I live with and all that, and um I would go to work every day, come back and all that, and then I would just stay in the Bible and all that. So of course they send bam bam to get me out of that place so they could target me, and because the place is way out in the country and all that. But I was given I was like I forgot what they called it, some kind of guidance counselor for that place, giving drug tests, you know, helping people, doing Bible studies with people and all that. So then, boom, there it comes to pull me away. But I'm not gonna get into that no more. Just gonna leave it alone. It needs to be talked about in one setting and not interrupt this woman's story. But I will be, if I have any experiences that are quick, I'll share it with you while I'm reading it. The cruelty will begin immediately after the vows are spoken, and the honeymoon ensues for mass effect of shock and awe. The very injustice that the stalker was one thing before the vows, only to drop the mask immediately following the vows, creates such a confusion that cognitive dissonance the mind of the target. They lose the ability to understand what to do, so they go into denial, allowing the stalker to gaslight them into submission, take full control of them. This initial trauma bonds the target to the stalker, and the target feels helpless to remedy it. In keeping with J. Edgar Hoover's statement, the individual's handicap when coming face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous he cannot believe it exists. It shocks the target's mind into submission because they're too confused to act. The dark triad stalker spouse worked hard at the beginning to set up a fantasy of love and joy for the target. The target hangs on to the fantasy long after the stalker spouse has stopped the act because the target's heart and mind cannot accept it was all a lie. As their failure to act ensues, the target is hypnotized through stalker's deceits, gaslighting, into moving forward with the unjust monstrosity until the target comes to see it as normal and learns to accept it. But what they've been tricked into accepting is to remain attached to Satan, and Satan being Satan will work out everything in the target's life for their destruction, always with the final goal to steal everything from the target, covertly murdered from one way or another. The situation is meant to create a trauma bond, a splitting of the psyche, which is the first step in MK Ultra mind control. In my case, this is exactly what happened, though I was being told by people to divorce Tim immediately after the honeymoon. I became hypnotized, deceived, and mind controlled by Tim and his mother from the onset of marriage. Their diabolical, constantly contrived abuses and mind tricks subdued me into staying with Tim, but Jesus cajoled me over many years through Scripture to see them for the perpetrators that they were, making me partly controlled by them and partly rebellious against their manipulations. I was just too young and uneducated on the manner of mind control, and I had no clue what these people were and what they were doing. Again, this is Pam Austin's experience. A stalker triad asset who gets close enough to marry the target will slowly pull everything and everybody into their corner through conspiratorial deceit and manipulation. He might have been telling his family she cheated on him and she was doing him bad, and the whole time she's not doing nothing but trying to be a good wife. Or I don't know what was told on my situation, but uh, I I know I was a good man to her, so and that's all that counts. I took care of her nails, hair, all that. So, and love, and I fell for it, but it's part of it, you know. But you learn lessons. But well, I'm just trying to show you. So in my case, they'll suck you in. You might, I don't like going into details about my stuff, but anyway, I was sucked in. Friends of her family, met her family, was close to all her family. So whatever happened when she got ready to do whatever she was going to do and start hitting hard, everybody just started drawing away from me. And I'm like, what the hell? So I can relate to this. So the stalker triad acid gets close enough to marry the target will slowly pull everything and everybody into their corner through conspiratorial deceit and manipulation. They will have been trained in the techniques of hypnotism, sleight of hand triangulation, MK Ultra, trauma bonding, mind control. They were playing audio video devices in the homes and cars as they know how to best sabotage everything the TI sets to do. They throw stumbling blocks along their path to sabotage their efforts. Knowledge of what the target is planning or where they're going is for paramount for perpetual stumbling block routine. Therefore, the utmost in spy tactics must be installed and maintained by the stalker spouse or relative. H.G. Tudor, a self-aware narcissist who teaches people about the disorder, states that the two primary objectives of the narcissist are to gain fuel and control. Fuel is any emotional response by the target to the narcissist, with both positive and negative responses being fuel. Since the point is to maintain control over the target, any response given is assigned to the narcissist they control over the target. A narcissist needs fuel and control constantly throughout every day, so they have many sources of fuel, meaning they have their primary source, then people on the sly who give them varying levels of fuel throughout the day. They never allow themselves just one source of fuel in case the primary source leaves unexpectedly. So they have backup people waiting on standby, maintained daily with emails and texts to be pulled in if the primary source is not available. They hold no loyalty, no marital vows are honored, no family ties are real. It's all a mask they wear to certain fuel and control on a steady basis. H.G. Tudor calls these people appliances. A stalker spouse will be deliberately sabotage a marriage, knowing full well when the divorce happens, the network's assets in the court system will give them wild success over crushed target. The stalker's life after the divorce seemed a huge success, with its employer suddenly raising his salary exponentially, giving him promotions while the target's minutely sabotaged, slow walk to poverty, homeless, and complete isolation, where anything can be done to erase them from society and from stalker's ex-spouse's vicinity. Within the company of only gang of the stalker parent, the stalker's mind control family members, the target individual's children would be entirely turned against them to the point of hate. They will come under severe hypnotic mind control by the narcissist, who will know who will tolerate no threat to his control over them, and they will be taught such lies about the targeted parent that no hope of reconciliation will exist. The stalker parent will finally be granted everything he could ever want from the network. The target entirely gone or dead, with the stalker promoted as hero who saved the children from such an evil parent. He will be landed as a true Christian, the good parent, when in fact he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I know some of y'all can relate, and I pray anybody going through this right now who has one of these in their life, I pray the person doing this to them falls in their own trap. He will be landed as okay, and whose work efforts brought about the slow kill destruction of targeted parents since the day of their marriage and the eventual mental, emotional, spiritual destruction of his own children will be controlled until they are helpless, impoverished shells of who they could have been had they been allowed freedom of the narcissistic parent's leash. In my case, through all the trauma the stalker parent, Tim, deliberately brought against me over the years, all my children were set up for trauma bonding and dissociative disorder where mind control was begun and made successful early in their childhood. Now their mind control handler is their father. This is his mind control handler is his mother, who gave birth to him on an Air Force military base when they were experimenting with MK Ultra on military families and their children. The stalker spouse needs to target a spouse dead in order to hide years, maybe decades of satanic ritual abuse against them. When a person's put on stalking list, it's not to correct or punish them, it's solely to slow murder them, while leaving plausible deniability to both the person within the network who put them on the list and the drips within the network who carry out invisible murder. Okay. Stalking is not a community policing or community watch program. This is a cover story, and this is her talking. It is a global Luciferian murder ring that kills in darkness. And while all the children the stalker parent believes is a lie, the stalker parent will have attained everything he wanted from the network. Satan will have the lion's share of the wards, and Satan will have gotten the soul of the stalker parent along with their mind-controlled children, whom this dark triad parent sacrificed for his own temporary gain, self-preservation. Stalker parents literally sell their children to the network, and all they need is the target parent out of the way so they can give mold to their children their evil image. Jesus gave us his life to save us forever. Stalkers give their spouses and children life to save themselves in this world only. It's supreme selfishness and parasitic psychopathy. Everyone the target individual associates with would have been compromised, every relationship scored by slanderous whisperings, and the target would be at once ganged up on, figuratively stoned by the town, and then there would be crickets who absolutely no one will be left in the target's life. All voices go silent. Then the target will be erased from these people's thoughts by no mention social contract for forced amnesia. No one will mention the target's name. If they do, the handler will say, I don't want anything to do with them, thereby putting everyone's mind that this is the correct attitude they all must take for their own good. Then will be brainwashed from thinking about or being cornered, concerned for the destroyed life of the target, even if the target is their own mother who loved and raised them. But while the stalker handler is saying he wants nothing to do with the target, in reality, he is every day on the dark web with gang stalking network, organized stalking, shall I say, being continuous update on the drips, maneuvering against the target, and the target's response oppressed daily life. They can see videos taken of them. They have been stolen from them. Placed plans being schemed against them. Read minutely reports, secretly, deceitfully. He goes on to feed his daily portion of the target's humiliation and murder. Secretly, he's obsessed with the target, even while convincing others to erase the target from their minds and lives. His heart lives for the day the target's finally dead and he can relax, knowing that he's won and is safe. For the stalker's spouse, the marriage was only about competition and winning the final way at war of life, death, and supreme control. But as long as the target lives, the stalker is not safe from exposure or safe from the horror of losing control. The stalker spent years building a web of lies to promote himself and diminish the target, and he will do anything to keep that system prospering. Forced amnesia will be placed within the controlled minds of the people once close to the target, and in my children's case, they have entirely forgotten all the mother who loves them. All the good I did for them and for the fun we used to have been brainwashed in their minds and hearts by the handlers who now have control over them. Since the stalker parent has full MK Ultra mind control, the children into seeing him as their savior and provider, they will violently resist any notion that the master isn't good. They will also resist any notion that the target's good. Anyone the target once considered an enemy will now be brought back in and called friend by the ones who have turned their back on the target. They will work to connect every last soul the target knew into the network, creating a net around the target, entrapping them in a group condemnation and group censor, relegating them always to the status of scapegoat. Over time, this weakens everything about the target and walks them to their death by suicide, in which the whole network around the target will cheer in unison that the target is finally gone. But they won't know why they had such a passionate hatred for the target who probably loved them. There's no more powerful, no more corrosive a stalker than the one who just sees the target into falling in love with and marrying him. These stalkers, from the perspective of the network, are worth their weight in gold. From there, if the stalker is smart and entirely deceitful and patient, they can drive the targeted spouse to commit suicide solely due to insidious and hidden cruelty and make it look like the target's fault with no suspicion from anyone that the stalker spouse, with his hidden crew of sabotagers, is fully responsible. Work tirelessly towards that aim. A stalker spouse can bury a target's name so deep under lies that they have no little hope of ever rising again. But God, there's the Most High, and there's glitches in the Matrix. As long as the target lives with a stalker spouse, they live wishing they were dead. So much so they'll often just kill themselves to escape psychological abuse and the insurmountable injustice created for them over the years. And I can relate to that. I cut my throat, um, and uh, I cut my throat, and that's another story. I've told this story before, but anyway, I had 17 stitches, 17 staples, and a blood transfusion. Uh, and Because I'd had enough, I just didn't couldn't take it no more. And I thought she was going to be gone for a while. She came home and saved me. But I missed. I was such an and I would never do that. I don't advocate suicide. I would never commit suicide again, or try. But I was so trying to just. I was so upset that I was doing it way back here, and I missed about by that much. I was that far back. But I had seven. I was pretty bad off from being all this drama, the throwing stuff and screaming they're coming to get you and all that stuff. And boy, she had a way with words. Okay, so she said he will have long ago discovered what hurts the target's deepest feelings, and he will just keep quietly, subliminally pinging the bullseye over and over for as long as it takes. Tim Alexander spent 2 decades doing this to me, and I spent years crying, begging to God to let me die. I can look back today with knowledge of MK Ultra mind control I've gained, along with knowledge of the dark triad people, and I can see what Tim was subliminally, knowingly attempting to lure me to suicide from the first year we were married. He destroyed my outlook on life, my hope for the future, my ability to see just how detrimental he and his mother's narcissistic Machiavellian behavior was to me. From the book, Project Soul Catcher. Hypnosis can be used to implant thoughts and ideas. These ideas used in psychic warfare cause cognitive distortion. Program and mind control utilizes behavior science to induce detrimental behaviors and negative thoughts. The negative thoughts can be piped into the target's head using microwave hearing effect or subliminal level even while they're sleeping. Using chatterboxes like Alice or Tammy, which is thought and mind interface, can automate the process of talking someone to their death. This is just one method of silent assassination. Suicides are common in British and U.S. computer scientists who have links to the Navy. Computer scientists. A stalker is one or more of a dark triad, narcissist, psychopath, Machiavellian. These people don't love, they covet, and they only crave to make what is target theirs. What is the target's theirs? They are parasites on the life of a host, and they'll kill the target to get every last thing the Most High meant for the target to have. Stalking is intended to steal the mental and emotional well-being of the target so they even rob their soul. This in hopes that the target will commit suicide or act out against the paid stalkers in a way that sends them to jail, or they talk crazy about what's happening to them so they get institutionalized. The idea of destroying the target's mind and emotions to erase them from society through jail, institution, or death. The network's motto against the target is identify, vilify, and nullify. The German Stasi, which was a forerunner to today's gang stalking, used a word for it that meant to decompose. They decompose the life of the target into nothing. Stalking is meant to discredit the target so that no one wants anything to do with them. They will be left isolated and alone, which is the kind of target the network craves and works relentlessly to create for themselves. They want helpless, the crippled, the outcast, the poor, the homeless, the people in which no one in society will make a peep when the network simply disappears them. Stalking robs the target of social service, the police protection, legal rights, and an attorney who will work for them. All police departments are instructed not to help the target individual when they call. And this is per police, often whistleblowers themselves. They're instructed to protect the stalkers and nullify any lawful complaint from the target. Any feud between target and stalker, no matter how obvious it is that the stalker is to blame, the target is to be arrested themselves or deprived of justice due to them. If a TI confronts a stalker while the stalker is in the commission of stalking, the police arrive to protect the stalker, intimidate the target, and put the target on constant notice that they won't lay down, take whatever the stalking network wants to do, violate every laws against them. Now, I've witnessed it myself. There are good people out there that are I don't think all police are in on it. I just think from my standpoint, I'm now other people may disagree and it's okay. I don't, I one thing I do on this channel, you're entitled to your own opinion, just respect mine. That's from my experience when I'm speaking. I've met people that were in on it, definitely, and ones that weren't in on it. Um, so if there's any feud between the target and stalker now, okay, so today. If a target ever gets the best of a stalker by confronting them or filming them back, the aggressive stalking thereafter increases. Many more stalkers are sent against the target, what is called a bee swarm, and the network pulls out stops against the target that now labeled the target a troublemaker. A stalker whistleblower said that those targets who fight back are given the worst of it. So I remember I was in Whataburger. No, it was McDonald's. And I'm not going to say the city, but um, after I was filming somebody that was definitely in on it and he was acting out, I had good evidence. And um after I left that, every store I went into, they would come up to me and say, the police would show up and say, uh, David, the property owner wants you gone or you're getting criminal trespassing. Even though I would buy something, um, and I'm like, but I just got here, I wasn't bothering nobody. It don't matter. The store owner owns the store. So I got banned from every store in a certain city one night, and it freaked me out. Okay, I'm on this page. Okay. The natural conclusion is anyone convicted the target must have done something to deserve what they're going through. You did, if you're being targeted, they think you've done something that you deserve to be targeted. And most of the time, that's not the case. Now, there are people that's targeted for revenge or stuff they might have done, but most targets, you know, I stood up for myself. And there's another reason, you know, my targeting got 100 times worse after the corporation thing and the chicken plant thing. However, my targeting actually started in 2012. I didn't file that till 2016, and it was all from something I'll go into it later. It was a misunderstanding, and that's where I think it started. We can all, I mean, that's what I think it's from. I sit here and think about this all I want, but I'll never know why. Because there's nothing that can be done to a person on the earth that isn't exponentially increased forever in the lake of fire. Target individuals are put on display for stalkers as a warning to never turn against the network, to never be a whistleblower, to save others, to reveal the truth, or they will be put on a list for annihilation too. This scares most of them, but not all of them. And those who have become whistleblowers today are target individuals or are dead. Stalking is murder. There are millions of TIs in America alone being walked to their death. Number one policy, so this person said, which is a whistleblower by a Luciferian Stalking Network, which is a whistleblower called the number one governmental policy in America. Though it's a secret, hush hush nature is strictly enforced with the of death to the stalkers if they reveal anything. And there have already been millions of targeted people slow killed, put in the ground for doing nothing more than telling the truth or loving Jesus and the Bible. And here lately, okay, stalkers are mind controlled and are themselves surveilled by the network, and most likely more so. And then there's an excerpt right here. Oh, we got a little bit more. Okay, from Bright Light, Bright Shadow, who quoted the Association Against the Abuse of Psychophysical Weapons, um, 1999, 2005. MK Ultra weapons enable millions of people to be mind controlled similar to robots. These psychophysical weapons were created to be used on the battlefield, not enslaving the opponent or destroying their own people. The use of psychophysical weapons leads to complete slavery of populations. People are transferred into well-behaved biorobots, which leads to complete physical destruction. Russian scientist W.N. Anisimov states that psychophysical weapons can kill from a distance, produce or cause any chronic disease, turn people into criminals or make them insane and irresponsible, make them fall down on the ground or stumble, cause flight, railroad, or car disasters in seconds, cause any climate upheaval, and damage to devices. These weapons can harm the sight, damage movement coordination, muscle tones, change the function of the organism's various systems. They can control people, manipulate any biological object, change the view of life of the population. With a continuous psychophysical process, they can secretly control people and also the behavior of any group, the whole society. The victims of special experiments can be gifted people, soldiers, officers, athletes, prisoners, both psychologically ill and today healthy people. The hunt for victims taking place in cities and small places. There are three stages in the psycho program, and the first stage is brain control. The second stage refers to the control of the TI's psychophysical activity, and the third stage concerns the destruction of the TI. The main rivals and competitors in the development and the control of I'm sorry, paid. The newest technology were and still are the USA and Russia. The English author, also a victim of psychophysical experiments, Jim Keith, has written a book, Mass Control: Engineering Human Consciousness, which he described how it's possible to control the minds of a whole mass of people from a distance. The Russian scientific professor, victim Vasily Linsky, reports that any citizens continuously monitored by the secret services according to a torture pattern because he or she has been put down for any reason on a destruction list. There exist 30 million of them in Russia. An extremely wide net of murderers has been set up to carry out the victim's torture. It is a gigantic army about which nothing has ever been published in the newspapers. Only a few people have heard about it. Doctors have been criminally involved for a long time. The whole judicial system is corrupt and only serves culprits. The culprits' misdeeds and terrorism are even covered by International Court for Human Rights, International Crime Court. In these last hours of the history of crime and criminal aggressions, all the borders have been crossed. The history of mankind has never known such barbarity. The stalking spouse will have been given or they will have been gained sophisticated microwave electromagnetic weaponry to use against its spouse. And in my case, during the last year, Tim and I were married. He used a weapon that caused my body to vibrate and buzz all over. Funny. I don't, now, this is her experience. So, but I've experienced that vibrating and buzzing all over my body. And I experienced it for like, well, y'all were with me. It was during my first years of YouTube. They were hitting me. And I still get the vibrations and stuff when I close my eyes to go to sleep. And that's what they've programmed. But for some reason, since I've been doing the garlic and the exercise and all that healthy stuff, and it's cut in half what it used to be. Used to it was so unbearable. I was just losing it. Um, that night, the night I kicked him out, all the physical symptoms stopped, and a year's worth of torture ended and has never returned. My own husband had been torturing me and would have gone on torturing to me to death. My suffering was his fuel, my fears were his fuel, my emotions were his fuel. When I was weak and afraid, he was fueled and in control, the two primary objectives of the narcissist. Now, I haven't finished this book yet to see if she's saying her targeting stopped, but I don't think it did. Um, I wish, you know, I'm, I'm gonna, because I don't think it did. I'll let y'all know if she says that she's free, from this, and if she is, so be it. You know, and I'm gonna pause this again. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about the interruptions. Uh, But so anyway, yeah, so that was her experience. And I read that, like I said, because when I was reading this book, I thought it was a horrifying story that she went through. I've been through it. And I think there would be some people that could relate. And if you want, and I'm not promoting, nobody told me to promote this book. It's called Code Name Pretty Eyes by Pamela Ann Austin. Now I'm only halfway through it, so but it's a good book. She's going to go into her story later on, but the first three chapters are information and stuff like that. Good information too, on some stuff. That says code name Pretty Eyes. True account of a targeted Christian of FBI orchestrated life sabotage, slow kill, gang stalking, which organized stalking, whatever. But and I seen her on X, and I was going to ask her if she wanted to be interviewed, but her X account disappeared. But you know how TIs are. Sometimes we'll just delete account and start a new account sometimes. But anyway, so um, while I was that was her calling. But anyway, and I got to thinking about it. So the reason I told you that email from that guy and all that, and what I think, there's another theory too I have about what initially started it, and I might go into it. So don't quote me on that first thing being right. That could have just been a threat. But anyway, reach out to me if you want to come on and do an interview, or if you want to come on and present information that you came across that you think may help. Um, Now, I do. I've been researching a lot on this biofield thing and um uh Sabrina Wallace's information, non-Veer 420's information, and a lot of good info. Hard to understand, and I'm trying to figure out how to break it down to y'all easier and all that because so the reason I don't post her videos or his videos is because certain words can't be said in my stream that can be said in other people's streams. I don't even see how that's possible, but that's how it goes. If I say the V word, I get censored, but other people can say the V word like it ain't nothing. So anyway, if you want to come on and give your testimony, uh, if you want to come on and talk about anything that you have been researching and that you've got some good information you'd like to just get out there, just email us at targetedtestimonies@pm.me or hollyspunk@gmail.com and we will get back with you um, and try to set up a time. That Tina Lewis girl is really going through it in Florida. Now the reason I did not ask if she would, the reason I did not ask if anybody could help her or would be willing to help her, know anybody in Florida near the Daytona Beach area that could help her, because I wasn't sure she was still homeless because the video she shared with me was 8 months ago. But yes, she's still very much going through it. So if anybody is near that area or knows anybody in that area that could possibly help, please email us too. Um, let's see. Her last post said, let's see, she don't. It was in a TI group that let me see if I can go to that group that she's a member of and see if I can um find her last post. Oh, I know a way to find it. Never mind. Hold on. Because I really want to read her last post because I seen it last night and I'd asked her, I'd emailed and said, "Are you homeless still?" And she just emailed me back and said yes. So 20 hours ago, she posted, "I spent 19 months of being constantly interrogated to one question derived from the brain spying, countless harassment, daily electronic rapes, and constant EMF torture. They make sure I sit in radiated pressure constantly and never remove it. This is all being done to try to kill me and cover up their crimes. They couldn't do it physically, so now they go at me constantly trying to weaken and stress out my heart." So if you go down to, uh, um, if you want to help her, you know, you could reach out through me or go to the YouTube link that I provided and reach out to her. I don't know how often she checks it. It may not, she hasn't posted no new videos in a while. So, um, anyway, if anybody could help, or any has any ideas or knows anybody in the Daytona Beach area that could help, just please email me and I will get the messages to her. Um, so uh sorry about that. God bless all target individuals. And like I said, this research that I'm doing now is going to be pretty intense. Because I want to break it down in terms where y'all can understand it. Now, I did watch a video this morning where she says what's going on with TIs is uh now this is where I disagree. She says families are paying $30,000 for a thumb drive, and once they have that thumb drive, they can do all kinds of crazy stuff to uh to your body to target you. Now, I just find it hard to believe that. I mean, in some cases, but everybody's family is not involved in all cases. So maybe, and but that's what she's claiming. I'm not saying that hasn't happened. I think it has happened because she said she found the technology, $30,000 for a thumb drive to control somebody's body. That makes a lot of sense in some people's stories that I've heard. But I just have a hard time believing that every targeted individual I've talked to, which I've talked to hundreds, is targeted by their family and their family went and bought a thumb drive. Maybe now I could believe it if it was somebody they made mad, bought a thumb drive for 30,000. They plug in their computer and they got all this access to all your body. It makes a lot of sense and it's possible, but maybe instead of saying, because she said it's your family targeting you, your family, maybe she should have, maybe she meant if a person wants to target you, all they got to do is get this and do this to have access, So anyway, I still need to clarify that and all that, and uh, I'm trying to figure out how to present the information in a more understandable, calmer manner, with no cue cards, no hand signals, no yelling. Now, I will always be under the impression and under my opinion that there is hope, and where there's a will, there's a way. I advise people to use natural sources of stuff like garlic, pressing garlic for, I'm telling you, the pressing the garlic for 10 and waiting 10 minutes is very powerful. Now, and that's just, my opinion. I got an opinion. I've done my research and I'm not promoting nano products, nor will I. So, and you heard what she said about it, and I will put the links in this video. In the comments, when you go to comments, give me a couple minutes after the video post if you're one of the first ones to watch it. After the comments, I'm going to pin this as the top comment. It's going to be two links. Now, when you go to uh, her Odyssey channel, you're wanting to, in her description, she puts everything to back it up. So usually these Odyssey links, for some reason, don't go directly to the video. So when you hit the link, it's going to be the first three videos. The two of the videos I'm talking about are within the first two videos. Don't forget, every video she does, she puts PDFs, every evidence she has to back what up she's saying in under the videos. So make sure you click them as well. God bless.